Hey everyone, it's Natalie. So I'm back again today to do a short video. By the way, the reason why I have not been on in a while is because I fractured my nose. I fell down the stairs to the basement. I was carrying 2 plates of food and I face planted and broke my nose. I have another video that I haven't posted yet because I don't know how you're going to react to it. But it explains more in that because during the time I had pink eye and a stomach flu when I broke my nose. But if you can tell, my nose was broken perfectly, so they didn't have to do anything. And I have a couple more weeks to heal. My face was swollen, black and blue and everything, so I didn't want to come on. But anyways, so I've been like reading a lot of the comments and stuff, and I'm sorry I haven't got back to everyone, but I've been dealing with health issues. I've also been going through training for my teacher certificate for special needs children. So that's kept me really busy. So every comment is like, help me, Natalie. I don't know what to do. I'm in this situation. And, I don't know how to keep my mouth shut. I don't know how to stop, defending myself all the time. And what I can tell you is that you don't owe anyone an explanation, and you don't have to defend yourself from these people. Okay. If they're doing stuff that is like super cruel and like you see that you do need to defend yourself, fine. I totally get it. But if you're defending yourself for every passive aggressive comment, for every just every little thing that just really is not that big of a deal, what happens is you're proving the narcissist right? Because the whole plan is for them to trigger you over these little things to get this big reaction, because they want you to have that anger. That way, when they do end up doing these bigger things, you'll have an explosive reaction, which that is what they want, because you have to understand they go around telling everyone that you're this type of person. And so they will antagonize you throughout the time until something big does happen. So you will have that explosive reaction. That way they can go back and tell everyone, see here, look at her. Look at Natalie. She's doing exactly what I told you. She's a bad person and blah, 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 blah. And so, and I understand, like, if you're in a relationship with somebody that you just can't wake up. Well, let me tell you something. It took me 2 decades to get my partner to where he is actually not tolerating it anymore. And so the question you have to ask yourself is, do you have the time to wait patiently for your partner to wake up? Because if you're that type of person that you think, because, as empathic people, we're right fighters. If you think that you are going to react to every single little thing and it's going to make a difference or wake your partner up, it's not. It's not. And unfortunately, because our partners have been conditioned and brainwashed into normalizing their parents' behaviors, it's like a cult. It's really hard to break that trance, that hypnotized type of personality that they have gotten from their parent. And like I said in the video I haven't posted, I mean, think about the People's Temple and Jim Jones. I mean, these people fed their very own children poison to off themselves because they were following the cult advice, the leader's advice. So if a grown person who wasn't even conditioned by Jim Jones were persuaded to off their very own children along with themselves because for God, then think about your partner who has been in this narcissistic family cult their whole life. It is extremely, extremely difficult to get them to see the light. And with you being in the way and reacting to every single thing that the narcissist does, all that does is push your partner away. And it also um, persuades the narcissist persuades your partner into believing that that you're overreacted. This is the type of person you are. And so this is why I always say to not to speak up on every single thing, because as you constantly nag your partner about their parent, all it does is make your partner believe the narcissist. Because when you first meet your partner, you weren't like this. This isn't the person that your partner met. They would have never gotten with you. But what happened was trauma. What happened was the narcissistic mother-in-law getting in your life. Because at the time, you didn't know. You didn't know you were going to go through this. You didn't even know that there was people out there that actually existed like this. And so what I did through the years of being with my partner and constantly nitpicking, crying, bringing it up all the time, you know what that did? That made his mother part of our relationship. And this is what you have to understand, is you are allowing her to be part of your relationship by doing so. And so the best way that I did, and remember everyone, this is my experience. So you can say, oh, Natalie's, this isn't true for my situation. Maybe it's not. But from my experience, what I noticed is that I was pushing my partner away by doing this constantly. I was ruining holidays. I was ruining, time together that could have been spent cuddled up on a couch and watching TV, because instead of spending time with my partner, we were conversating about what his mother was doing. And it was destroying our relationship, our closeness, our bond, our intimacy, everything that made us us. Because when I think back to the days that I first met my partner and all the butterflies and everything that I had with him, and I look at it now, I just can't believe it's even gotten here. And yes, and granted, the mother-in-law has a lot to do with it. So does your partner. But it wasn't always like this. And so one day I woke up and I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to include his mother into our relationship because she's not part of our relationship. My relationship revolves as an identity around my partner, okay? But because I was being so hyper vigilant about every single thing that his mother was doing, I made it our relationship about his mother. And so one day I woke up and I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. I said, I'm either going to leave or I'm going to give it my best shot and put my relationship with my partner first. And that is what I started doing. I had so much resentment towards him. It ruined our bedroom life. It ruined spending time together. It ruined me wanting to really even be around him because I was so disgusted. I mean, I've said this in my past videos that the resentment and paranoia around his mother grew so much that I thought literally because of what was going on, that my at the time boyfriend, but now husband, was having sex with his mom. I really did. And it repulsed me. And I could not get it out of my head. And every time I saw him, I was so disgusted by him. I really because my hypervigilance was so high, the alert was so high, that I started thinking irrational thoughts. And when you start thinking irrational thoughts, like your partner is making love to his mother because of the way that their bond is or their closeness or whatever, and really it's not even a bond, it's just a manipulation and enmeshment that they have with one another. It's not the bond that like you and I have with our children. It's an enmeshment, a sick enmeshment. It's an emotional incest. And so when you start having these delusional thoughts because the resentment and the delusion has grown so much because of the things that you have experienced between his mother and him, I think it is time to step back and check yourself. You have to realize that that resentment and paranoia has built so much within you that you started to become psychotic over the situation. And when I saw that within me, and well, let me back up. First off, I asked my partner because it got so bad. I mean, for like a year, I thought he was having sex with his mom because of everything that was happening. I said, I can't take it anymore. I said, I've got to ask him because this is just strange. Like, I really do believe, like 100% believe that he was. So I asked him, and I said, Jared, I really hate to ask you this, but please be honest. Because one thing about me and my husband is we've always been very honest with each other. And I said, have you been having sex with your mom? Or have you ever in the past? Has she ever, like, done anything to your private parts or anything like that? And he was so astonished. He was like, no, what are you talking about? And I think that moment he realized that the bond and the enmeshment that he had with his mother was so grand that it made his girlfriend think that. And I think that moment right there also woke him up to the fact that the relationship that he had with his mother was not normal. And so even though he was upset with me and everything, he basically told me, he goes, I didn't realize that you saw, were thinking that. And I explained to him the reason being. And so I saw a change with him after that, even though I did feel like he wasn't protecting me. What I can say about that is that I would see him trying to protect me and say things, not only in front of me, but in private. And his parents' attitude was just like they didn't care. And what they told him is that Natalie can't demand respect. It's earned. That's what they said. And out of all these years, they still say the same thing. And I've been nothing but a good daughter-in-law. Have I had hiccups and made mistakes in my life? I have. Have they been as big and severe as some of my husband's? No. But my husband's mistakes are okay. But the mistakes that I made are used against me. So, going back to what I wanted to come on here and say is that this video is mainly about trying to get over the resentment and stop reacting to every little thing. It's hard. It's hard to do that. But the question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to save your relationship? Do you want to be in a relationship where it is nothing but resentment all the time? And I decided one day that I wasn't going to allow that to happen to me anymore. Even though I felt like he wasn't protecting me and we would get in arguments over it, and he would be like, Natalie, I did talk to them. I did say they weren't treating you right. They just don't care. They don't want me to be with you. And so because he told me that, I realized that the reason that why they were doing that is because they were trying to devalue me to him and make it seem to him as though she's not the right one for you and we're not going to show her respect because she's not the one we want you to be with. And since I figured that out and the resentment that I had towards him where I was just repulsed, I didn't want to be that person. And the resentment is so hard to get over. And I know I read it in comments all the time. Well, what about the resentment? It is so hard to get over. Well, it's going to be up to you to get over it. And what I did was I decided that I wasn't going to make my husband suffer for being a scared little child when it came to his parents, because that's really what it came down to. Because he would bring up things and tell his parents all the horrible things that they say and do to me. Um, I did realize that, they didn't care. And so why should I hold that against him for something that he has no control over? Because no matter what he says or does, his parents just aren't going to care. And so because of that, I shouldn't hold resentment against my husband. I should hold resentment against my in-laws. And I wanted my relationship to get better and stronger, and I wanted everything to go back to normal, like when I first met him. Because I noticed that I started having hate towards him because I felt like he wasn't protecting me. But after doing research, healing, and coming as far as I have, I realized that I was the one in our relationship that hurting it. I was hurting it because I couldn't let go of the resentment. You shouldn't have resentment towards your husband. You should have resentment towards his parents. Regardless if you know it or not. Maybe your partner has said things, but over time they realized that saying things just didn't matter to his parents, so maybe they stopped protecting you. Or maybe they stopped protecting you because for once in their life they're getting the attention that they've never had with their parent before. And they're using you as the scapegoat to get that attention. And that's a huge problem because basically you're being used as a human meat shield. And I can tell you that I wanted a better life. I wanted a better relationship with my husband. And so over time, I started to forgive him for things that he had no control over. And I think that's where the resentment comes in, is that you feel like he has control over what is going on, but he doesn't. Don't you think if he could stop all of this, he would? I mean, think about that for a minute. Do you think if his parents for one moment would listen to the things that he has to say about the way they treat you, um, and, and they stopped, he would, he would control it? He can't control it. He has no control over it. He doesn't do this because he wants you to be hurt. He literally has no control over it. Do you think he would do that on purpose to you? And I realized that. I realized that he's not doing this on purpose. He's not trying to intentionally hurt me. See, I'm talking from a scapegoat point of view. If you have a narcissistic husband and he's doing this intentionally to you, then it's time to leave. You only have one life to live. If you think your partner is intentionally letting his parents bash you and be rude and cruel along with him being rude and cruel to you, why would you stay? Our partners have been brainwashed. They are scared children. They have no control over anything that their parents are doing or saying when it comes to you. And I think this is also why our partners just give up. Can they speak up? Yeah, they can speak up. Would it matter to the parent? No. Is it going to stop the behavior by the parent? No. So why hold resentment towards your partner for something that they cannot control? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And when I realized that, I worked on myself. I wanted a better relationship. When I realized that he had no control over what his parents said or did, I just, I stopped holding resentment, blame, shame, and guilt against him. Is he guilty for some of the things that he does? Maybe. Maybe he is. And that's because, you know, I think that's because maybe he might stop saying things. And the reason why he stopped saying things to them is because all the times that he has said things, it never mattered. Or maybe he doesn't say anything because he already knows it doesn't matter. See, they have been conditioned to believe that their opinions and their decisions about their life, about their spouse's life, boyfriend, girlfriend's life, it's irrelevant. They know that their parent won't care. And so this is why the abuse, this is probably demonetized now, but the ABUSC is going to continue regardless if they say something or not. So in their defense, they just don't say anything because they're looking for brownie points. They also know that it's not going to matter because if it doesn't matter how they feel, then why the heck would it matter how you feel? That's how our partners see it. Why should I defend my partner when I can't even defend myself against my very own parent? Like, they don't care how I feel. Why would they care about what my spouse feels? And so if you're holding on to this resentment, you've got to let it go, or it's your relationship is finished. Is this the way you want to live? You have to move on and heal and forgive your partner for things that he has no control over. There's nothing that he can do or say to ever change the mind of the way that his parents think of you or behave towards you. There's nothing. Because even if he mentions it and the parent might change their behaviors for a short period of time, it doesn't last long. It goes right back to the way it was. And that's the thing that you don't realize our partner knows already. See, they know things that you don't know. That's why they do the things they do, because they already know that they don't even matter to their very own parent. And the other thing, too, is that some of our partners have been treated so poorly that when it comes time to protect you, that they're scared they're going to get shamed and blamed and guilt tripped. Or the other thing is they don't want to say anything because they're finally being treated fairly by their parent. And they think that if they go and confront their parent about the way their parent is treating you, that they'll go back to being mistreated too. And if you've ever noticed, like, our partners, when you come into their life, end up getting treated like royalty when they've never been treated like that before. Or maybe you have a golden child and they've always been treated like this, and the golden child doesn't see anything wrong with it because their experience is different than yours. They think their parent is the Messiah. So when you go and bring up things that their parent is doing to you that are hurtful, they don't believe you because they haven't experienced it. So you can either live in this resentment, or you can realize that your partner has no control over their parents' action. Get past the resentment, start loving, start being caring, start forgiving, and realize that it's not their fault. Peace, love, and harmony.